So we are going to be sharing with you a wakelet that has all of the material that we're going to be using in today's conversation. But if you can just, click on it, you might need to have, two screens if you can have that. And we'll be looking at these together. There's a lot of information, so I'm hoping that we can get to it. But so it's in the chat box. So my name is Morari Weber, and I'm the Associate Professor Coordinator of School of Continuing Education, Guided Pathways, and the ESL Chair. And Jose, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, and I'm Jose Lopez Mercedes. I'm the Associate Professor as well in at the SCE, School of Continuing Education at Santa Ana College, Professional Development D Coordinator, and also ESL Co-Chair with Dr. Weber.
We have lots and lots of hats that we carry proudly, joyfully for students, right? So the goals for this workshop, we're going to conduct a syllabus X-ray activity. So I hope that you brought your syllabus with you. If you didn't, in the wakelet that we just gave you, at the very top, there is, Jose, which one is it? The 306? There's Jose's syllabus is all the way at the top, so that you can do this activity.
It's the 303.
303. And the self-assessment. So we'll do a self-assessment and reflection. We're going to have a little conversation about what a traditional syllabus does and the impact to our student success. And then hopefully learn ways on moving towards a transformative syllabus. And the key to this is that this is not a complete process. And hopefully through the examples that you see, you can see how we have been learning and growing and implementing the material that we have been acquiring to improve this syllabus experience for our students. And if we have time, we'll go ahead and hopefully help you with a welcome message and a debrief. And all of this information we've adapted from the Skyline Equity Institute, which was the Anatomy of a Transformative course. So I went to that fall of 2019. Also participated in some equity work with 3CSN and a lot of research and a lot of learning. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, Jose.
Okay, so like Mary mentioned earlier, we're going to be looking at one of your syllabus that you probably brought to the workshop today. If you didn't, we welcome you to take a look at the wakelet link that has been put into the chat, and you're going to be looking at the syllabus for ESL 303. So at this moment, we'd like you to take out your utensils, so instruments in this case, highlighters, pencil or pen, and your syllabus or your course overview. Next slide. So you're going to highlight the text that expresses the following: excitement about the course, how an instructor will support students in the course, welcoming and accommodating language, information about on-campus resources and services for students like the SPS, additional services that you're providing the students in your course syllabus. Then you're going to circle text that expresses an appreciation of racial and cultural diversity. And we would like you to cross out text that refers to rules and policy driven, disciplinary and intimidating language that it's focusing on student responsibility. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to work on this. So we're going to leave the slide up so you can refer back to it. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to work on this activity. And again, if you didn't bring your course overview, we have shared an overview that I used for ESL 303 in the wakelet.
So 5 minutes, we'll start now. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to share, and Jose is going to project his Jamboard on the wakelet. The first item on the wakelet is the Jamboard. So the question that you're going to be answering, and he'll guide you through it, is what do you think your current syllabus or overview says about your values, your interests, and your attitudes? So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay, so like Mary said, the link to the Jamboard has been shared with you. And I see that most of you have logged in already. If you have never used the Jamboard before, so your tools are on the left-hand side. You're gonna use a sticky note. So you select this icon where it says sticky note. And then there's a new one that's gonna pop up, and that's where you can type in your response to the question that has been posted. What do you think your current syllabus or overview says about your values, interests, and attitudes? And as you take a look at the sticky notes, you have the option of changing the color, and we'll hope that you can answer this question for us. We're gonna give you 5 more minutes to do this as well. So if you have any questions on how to use the Jamboard, feel free to ask. Thanks everyone for sharing your sticky notes on our Jamboard. At this point, we would like to give you the opportunity to debrief. We would like for volunteers to share, either what you have come up with in your sticky notes, or if you have any thoughts about the X-ray activity, anything you want to share. We're going to allow for 2 minutes to debrief. So if you'd like to share your thoughts and experiences about the X-ray of your course syllabus or course overview, you're welcome to do that right now.
Hi, this is Kendrick. In my syllabus in the past, before the pandemic, I used very the languages that other instructors have used, and just a template, the word must, no exceptions, the if you miss the deadline, no makeups, unless with a valid medical excuse documented. And since this pandemic, I've been finding myself changing the word and softening the tone, that, and also within the syllabus and the Canvas, extending the deadlines and making exceptions, because you can't really argue, well, my family has COVID. I'm not going to tell them, well, I need proof, because it's a common theme. And especially when I noticed that students during the pandemic have been working a lot more hours as essential workers. So I've been taking courses through 3CSN and about, making the syllabus more friendly. And also found out that during the pandemic, when I initiated my phone number to call me if there's any problems or needs, students have used that to actually communicate better, uh, also through a phone, text, or a Canvas. So I changed it up and softened a lot of my words and gave extensions. And one of the three CSN classes I took was to give extensions when necessary, and if possible, wait for the grading. Like if the semester ends on the 21st and you got 3 days, give it time until that 3 days are up. It may be a headache for you, but it will benefit the students. So that's what I've been doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Kendrick, for sharing. Anybody else?
I'll go for it. Can I share my screen with everyone?
Stop sharing.
Let's see here.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much. I'm Chris Sullivan. I teach English at Mesa College in San Diego. And I've been in the department for a pretty long time, and so I noticed that my syllabus is like super heavy text, like this. All my younger colleagues, I don't know if I can be younger, all my more recent developments in our department use a lot of visuals and the liquid syllabus and stuff like that. I just find mine to be super dense. I teach rhetoric and composition, so it's kind of like easy for me to be very verbose, but I wonder how that affects the students, so yeah, even words like, the required text, you will be responsible. I'm questioning stuff like this. What is that student responsibility? I don't use textbooks. We agree as a class in the first week or so what we're going to write about. And so then I go run around and find articles based upon the topics that the students want to write about. And very often they come up, of course, with many more engaging things than I can. So we've tackled, really the deep subjects. the things that are hard, hard conversations to occur in a classroom, but we go head on, and the students are always game, and I'm game with them. So I found that, I abandoned the textbook a long time ago with this class and just allowed the students to do their own thing. So that's helped a little bit, but it's even this idea of being responsible for, this is making me question stuff here. There's that word again, right? And then I get stuck on things like that are like the state law stuff, right? So we have deadlines, we have census dates, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess maybe formulating that in a little different way, rather than being more invitational than kind of punitive about the whole thing. It's your responsibility to drop, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. And then the grades, I do contract grading. And so this all, this is one of the bigger conversations we'll probably have later on today, but this whole notion of, the grade itself, the whole grading system is, kind of racist and punitive in its own way. So going over to contract grading, I think has helped the equity issue quite a bit in the class. But and by the way, this is for our co-requisite class, 5-unit composition class. Yeah, so as you see, again, must be at the standard level established by the rubric. I use a rubric. I think it helps. It helps clarify things for students. And I got some standards here. That word shows up again. So as I put in my sticky note, I've got to be anxious about something here. I've got some imperative that I'm not processing, right? So and then, fuck you, I'm not taking any work after this date, so this kind of stuff, and then the rubric. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm just questioning that whole use of the must, that imperative kind of thing. So, all right. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it. So thank you very much for what you shared. And we're going to be creating a PDF of the stickies that were shared. So we'll give it to Nika and to Lauren. So what we're going to do is kind of take a look at what a traditional syllabus does, right? So this is, and hopefully you can see that the sample of Jose's, the 303 class, and this is through the lens of ESL, but it is universal enough that you can see that it can transfer to other disciplines. But the 303 class that Jose shared is for the fall of 2019, and that's when we first started doing all this equity work. And hopefully you can see that there has been quite a bit of transformation since then, and it doesn't have to be huge, it can be small. But what a traditional syllabus does, right? It expresses the academic rigor of the course and what students must do to be successful. So an example of that would be like the required reading and homework, but how it impacts a student is the list of requirements alone can deter students from staying enrolled in a course and change their academic trajectory. So when I started my doctoral work, I remember getting like a 30-page syllabus the first semester and thinking, there is no way I can do this. Just by receiving that document and the length of it, I realized, wow, do I have the capacity to do this? So just understanding the impact of what we put on the syllabus is very important. So the syllabus serves as a classroom management tool to address any conflict or disagreement with students, right? Like you said, before you even meet the students, you're predicting that there's going to be conflict and disagreement. So an example would be not providing any flexibility for students who have personal life challenges that limit their capacity to comply with class requirements. And because of the pandemic, I think it's been very front and center for us how, we as instructors are having issues ourselves. And I think it's helping us understand, wow, we need to be a little bit more empathetic. The impact of having that kind of language is the adversarial student-teacher relationship, right? Instead of you being a welcoming person, welcoming the student into the discipline that you love and want to impart on them, it's becoming like you against me. A traditional syllabus invalidates the experiences of students from diverse cultural backgrounds. So an example would be assigning examinations on dates in which cultural or religious holidays are observed. So I used to teach at Glendale Community College, and students in April take a day to observe the genocide. And there are some instructors that would give tests and quizzes that day, but our class attendance was very different on those days. So the impact that it has on students when you do something like that is that students are penalized for honoring their cultural traditions instead of us being understanding about it. So a traditional syllabus also lacks built-in support from the instructor to ensure that a student learns. So an example would be not connecting students to campus resources and services, not offering additional help outside of classroom time and office hours. So the impact for the students is that they feel alone, they feel not supported, you know. And if you look at the syllabus that Jose had for the 303 class, we had the DSPS wording, but that was it, because we were in compliance. That was kind of the goal of the syllabus. It was like, here is this, give it to the students, and then if they read it, great. If they don't, then, you know, most likely they'll be asking questions. So this is what a traditional syllabus would look like. So what we want to do is we want to just kind of summarize what a traditional approach of a syllabus is that it's unwelcoming, right? It increases stress and anxiety for students, and it's usually adversarial. So what we invite you to do is to conduct a syllabus inventory. So you have in the Wakelet this Mentimeter link. And if we can go there, this is a synchronous activity. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And if you can answer these questions, so this is like a scale bar. So you're just going to scroll up or down depending on whether you agree or disagree. So you have to go to your Wakelet. The code is 32063399 to the Mentimeter. And then you are answering these items from your syllabus, right? My welcome message communicates that the classroom is a safe space for undocumented students. Do you have those words in your syllabus? So do you agree or do you disagree? Office hours and ways to contact the instructor are clear and inviting. Information about on-campus tutoring services and other academic support is clear and encouraged. Information about on-campus mental health resources is present and clear. Information about Disability Resource Center is present, clear, and contextualized for students. Information about on-campus access to basic needs such as food, public transportation, job centers, and housing is present and clear. Information about on-campus technology resources is present and clear. And information about free or low-cost books and materials is present and clear. Okay, do we have everybody participating? Is anybody still waiting? So the idea behind this review of our syllabus is looking at it and seeing that we are on a continuum, right? So it's kind of, for me, it was more like an aha moment when I did this last or fall of 2019, and I realized, oh my gosh, I need to do a better job on my syllabus. And the beauty of it is that it's iterative, right? I get these awarenesses and I get to improve on them. And so what we're gonna do is, Jose, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Does anybody want to share on this experience with Mentimeter?
I love the device. I want to steal it. I'm going to figure out how to use it on my own work and research. But I think I mentioned in the chat too, I found that a lot of things that I would naturally talk about in class on the first day of class, I've switched over to the Canvas page. And I feel like there's like a little bit of a disjunct somehow between those two things now, that things that would come naturally in the syllabus, we talk about it in class, et cetera, is now sort of this formalized, sort of been receptacleized into Canvas. That's an interesting, and this little Menti thing made me think about that. So thanks.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Anybody else?
I really agree with that. And I feel like in trying to think through these different spaces, like, you know, trying to create a liquid syllabus, but that has a particular role. I think, in terms of sort of reaching out and being accessible in a particular way. And then I've been thinking like, well, I still have a written one, and then there's the Canvas pages. And so, you know, am I aiming for consistency across all of these, or do they have different jobs? And it's very interesting. I like it, I welcome it, but I find when I looked at this, I just thought about how things slip through the cracks. And I really liked the ask of, is it clear? You know, is it is it present and clear? Because it could be there, but, or present contextualized and cleared. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you for participating in that. So Jose is going to take us towards our move into a transformative syllabus.
So the syllabi have the potential to serve as a learning tool for student success. And it's also an opportunity for students to develop a positive relationship with their instructors. So most of you have mentioned that we need to revise this, right? So that's why the title of this presentation, Moving Towards a Transformative Syllabus, right? So a few things to ponder. So we have to examine our teaching philosophy as you consider how to effectively and concisely convey your teaching philosophy. You may find out helpful to consider the following questions. Why are you teaching this course? What drew you into this profession? And how do you define successful learning? And what can your students expect from you?
After we did this workshop from the fall, right, we did the Equity Institute with 3CSN also in the fall. And then in January, Jose changed his syllabus completely. If you notice, and Jose, do you want to walk us through this syllabus?
So I just tried to make it more like a newsletter, like rather than having just a static, contract, because I know our syllabus is like a contract, our contract to our students. I just try to use photos from the college. I try to use bright colors, and I try to include a little bit about myself. This is for an ESL course, the one you're looking at right now. I include a few sentences about me, and where I tell them where I graduated. It talks about a little bit about my teaching philosophy, and I removed all those rules that we had. Okay, here are the deadlines. If you don't meet XYZ deadline, you're going to be out of my class. Rather than giving that, I just wanted them to know that we have services for them. As you can see in there are student resources available. We talked about grading, but it's just informational in this case, but it's not that students are going to be drop policies and all that stuff. I've removed all of that. Instead of using rules, we use language that is positive, giving examples of how they can be successful in the class, qualities of a successful student. And I provided instructions to them as well in the syllabus, how to access Canvas. And we talked about being an inclusive environment where we welcomed everybody's cultures, opinions, all of that is value into the class. So that's how I learned from Narai's workshop, of integrating those little aspects in the syllabus to make it more welcoming and inviting the students to be part of the course. It wasn't just a contract between me and the students, but it's just providing them with more about who I am, making it more personal.
Mm-hmm. And I think it really showed differently. And because if you look at the syllabus, there's information on how to get into Canvas, and then we had to pivot into remote instruction. So that was a real helpful tool to have. And Jose, do you want to share what you did for your students here?
So this is another way of presenting your syllabus. So this is using an emoji and using also Google Slides. So what I have presented in here is just, welcoming the students in this virtual classroom. And this is an introduction to, I think I sent this out the week before the course started. And as you can see in there, I posted a poster about that they matter, they're unique, they're smart, they're talented. I also provided them on the bulletin board. You can see links directly to the Canvas course. This was an actual remote live course, and I provided them with a Zoom link. On the help button, I believe that's linked to the resources available for them to log in into, technical support. And I also provided them with COVID-19 free testing that the college was offering at the time, okay, still active. And also we have a food pantry for students that need, food distribution. So it's offered through the college I think it's every Thursday. But all of that information I provided to them using that virtual classroom. So I know this is, it's another way of presenting information from the core syllabus.
Mhm. And what we hope to show you is that as time changes and needs change, we had to make that pivot, right? And making the syllabus less wordy and more like clicky and more usable on the phone. So I want to share with you. So in this period, I also saw Michelle, and I think Michelle is here. Is she here? Are you here, Michelle? I saw Michelle. I follow her on Twitter, and I saw all of the work that she had been doing with the liquid syllabus. And I got super excited about the work that she shared, and I wanted to use it for my class. So what I did is I created my own liquid syllabus. So now, going to this remote experience, embedding the Bitmojis classroom that we created, but also making it so that it's student friendly. And what's nice about this is that it's teachers can access it, or students can see it from their phone. It has all of the information that was necessary on the syllabus, and hopefully embedding all of the information that we had learned from the transformative syllabus. So not making it this paper static version, but just making it something that the students can actually use for whatever need that they have. So we have provided all of those links for you. And one of the things that I really want to share with you, so I'm the ESL department chair in the department, and one of the pushbacks that I had gotten is, can we make these changes because we need the syllabus to share, plagiarism rules, and like we have to follow these department things, right? We have to do this. But the question that always came up was, but does it have to be done on the first day? Does it have to be done that first week? Can we first get to know each other? And then, so you can share all of those rules and regulations throughout the semester, and then make it a point, like have it in the syllabus, but don't put it front and center, because is that the message that you want to give your students? So what I did with our department is, I was a co-chair of the department, and I shared this with our department, and our department was okay with some of the changes. So it's kind of like knowing your sphere of influence. What can you do to make this change happen? So I shared with you our 300, which is the literacy template. So now as a department, we share a template with our teachers, and we have, back in March, we had 120 something teachers. And what we've done is for each of the levels, we have a template for the course syllabus. But if you notice, we are highlighting the important things. We're starting with the welcome. We're starting with the learning environment. We have a course description, but we're asking the teachers to use level appropriate language. And if you notice, we have the student learning outcome information, but in parentheses, we are saying what you will learn. Because what the students have no idea what a student learning outcome is. That's teacher talk, right? So within that, also having links. We do have the link to the student code of conduct, but we're not taking 2 pages itemizing what it is. And we have resources that we think are important for teachers to know. And we have new teachers that perhaps don't know, but they have the links. So now they have the link to the Virtual Welcome Center, ASG website, the Transition Center, and the Career Center, along with our mission statement. So within the sphere of influence that I had, I was able to make this little tiny wedge into this syllabus that still provides the check to the department, but also gives the student these resources that they can use. So so that's the reason why the 300 literacy. So we showed you the progression of where you could take it, right? Like with Jose and going into the Bitmoji and then the liquid syllabus, but then bringing it down to just the black and white paper, that perhaps that's all we can do depending on what your sphere of influence is. So so we hope that at this point, if you have a moment, if you haven't already thought so, or perhaps you want to do this on your own, just draft a statement of 3 to 5 sentences that you could include in your syllabus. The very, very top. What do you want your students to know about you and about the course? What are some common myths about your course that prevent students from succeeding in the course, right? This is perfect for like a math class where students come in already anxious, and you could just say, you know, maybe give them a video of growth mindset and math anxiety. How will my class policies contribute to the intellectual and personal growth of your students, and not the punitive, you are out of here, we're going to kick you out kind of thing. Like, there's the reason why we have these policies. Can we frame them in a positive way? So this is our invitation for you. I know that we want to share more together. So one of the important things, and Jose, do you want to go ahead and share this?
So the Transformative syllabus should center excitement about the learning of the subject while being in compliance with institutions' requirements and policies. So it often has the following characteristics. So it has to have a welcoming and a student-centered, student-ready language. It shows enthusiasm and passion for the course. It frames the instructors as a resource for success in the course. And it also provides contextualized information about on-campus resources.
So the questions that we pose to you are, what are the differences that you have identified in traditional and transformative frameworks? And what potential impact to student success can you see? And we'd like to open this up for discussion.
I think because of the shift, you're definitely bringing in a more engaging, uplifting approach to your syllabus. It just, you know, this is what, day one? I mean, this is, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, the fact that the level of stimulation is there, you know, from utilizing the images, utilizing how you're utilizing the framing of your messaging, it's done well. So kudos to you. And tell my colleagues to check y'all out.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Mariam. I think about differences. Definitely there are differences. It means, as you mentioned, it's kind of flexible and more liquid. And the impact, I mean, exactly when a student, I get the feedback from a student, they tell me, I mean, they feel that, I mean, it is more student-centered, and a student, they feel that, okay, it means that when you write the syllabus, you consider us. So it is really valuable for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you.
Really quickly, I just wanted to share that something that I've talked to my colleagues about that was kind of an aha moment for me with my syllabus. I used to, similarly to what you shared for traditional examples, I used to have kind of the, you know, very one-way policies where, you know, you must do this, you know, no exceptions. And then in my head, I would say, well, I'm making it very rigid, but I know that personally, I'll make exceptions, right? If a student comes to me and they have extenuating circumstances, I know that I'll make exceptions. So I'm going to put these rigid things in writing, but I know that I'll be flexible. But something that really made me rethink that was the fact that, you know, a lot of students are going to take what you write at face value. And then there's certain students, you know, maybe they're first generation students, or maybe, you know, just culturally they're thinking, well, I don't have the right to go to my professor and challenge what's in the syllabus. The syllabus says this. So if I, you know, had a death in the family, then, you know, I'm just not going to be able to advocate for my success. And, you know, certain students who maybe are more comfortable going to their professor or coming to office hours or reaching out despite what the syllabus says, you know, that's not all of your students. And so I couldn't just assume that I would be lenient for the students who chose to reach out to me, because there are other students who maybe needed to, but didn't feel that they could. So I realized then that I needed to put the wording in my syllabus that said, you know, please come to me, communicate with me if you need an extension, you know, a little bit more supportive language. So for me, that was a really eye-opening realization.
And you're there for them versus against them, right? Or to catch them to do. I think it's good to let students see that we want to catch them doing good things, you know, and not catch them in the negative. Thank you for sharing.
A question.
Mhm.
I was always under the impression that a syllabus was also a form of contract between the teacher and the student as to what performative requirements were going to be expected of the student so that the student would know what they needed to do to succeed. If we remove the performative requirements from this location, two things will happen. One is that our chairs are going to be annoyed with us. And two, the students will need those performative requirements someplace in order to succeed. And the more we hide them from the student, the more likely the student is to fail. If the student does not do enough work in the first 2 days or the first week of class, I'm supposed to drop them. And I'm told that by the dean. Therefore, if I don't tell the student that they have these performative requirements, I will be dropping them without notice. And that is so inequitable. So
Well,
there's this balance I need.
The key to that, Edward, is, you know, like I said, like, where's our sphere of influence, right? So we could have a more welcoming, you know, paragraph to our syllabus. And you could still frame that in a positive way. Like, with the first 2 weeks of this class are very important. For this reason, we have our, you know, labs and our resources that will support you if you are struggling, because if you do, you know, if you don't have X grade, you're going to need to be dropped or something. But there's a way to frame it so that you are saying, we are here to support you. We are here to help you. There are all of these resources available. You know, you can create group pairs or groups that can support each other and their peers. I mean, there's ways to do it. But again, you don't want to change everything for the department, right? You can do some of this in your syllabus that will enhance it and remove that punitive language.
Yes, because in some schools, such as SJSU, they have a 12 or 13 page set of boilerplate that has to have all the things that you don't like.
Yeah, so it still could be there, but it could be framed differently. Like, why are those rules there? Because we want to support the students, you know, we want to help them. And I teach at a university too, and I do have those 15-page syllabi, but I also put in, you know, a picture of myself and a bio of myself or something to like soften it, to make it a little bit, because even graduate students get stressed, you know. Emily, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I would like your input, please, on how to respond to colleagues who are resistant to making changes in their syllabi, particularly, and I remember quite a while ago when our department was encouraging faculty to make to include language that are to remove punitive language from their syllabus, and also to make it more inviting and welcoming, and also to put in resources like Jose was presenting on one of the slides. I think your presentation, both of you, are great. Many kudos. I've gotten a lot out of it in this hour, and I'm stealing already
Hey,
4 of your
girl.
ideas.
Please use them. Use the resources.
So how do you respond to a colleague challenged me when I was presenting, and when I was encouraging them to include student resources such as Early Alert, our Early Alert program that we would reach out to their students if they're struggling, or tutoring, the food pantry, Jose, you included, what else? Special programs. And the challenge was, well, my syllabus is already 6 pages long. Is, you're asking me to put these things that they can access it if they, go to the website, or they can go to the catalog. And it's like, well, the comment was, well, can't they read? Can't they access this? Why do I need to include this information? This is not department related.
So, when somebody does that with me, I tend to ask them to reflect on their experience and what would have made, because I know as a first generation, I had to struggle through a lot of classes, figuring things out on my own, but I don't want others to have to do all of that extra work if I can support them. So, so that's my frame of reference, right? Like, I had to do it, but if I can support you and give you a hand up, I'm gonna. So, so perhaps reflecting on it. I mean, and not everybody's gonna want to do it, but I think also highlighting student voice, maybe asking your students in a survey, what did they appreciate about the syllabus? And then sharing those student voices with the faculty. Because I know faculty, we teach because we love our students. And when we hear that it helps them, then we have no excuse, So that might be a way to do it too.
Thank
That's
you
a great-
so much, Murari and Jose, and everybody for your participation. It's 11, and so we're starting to lose people. So I don't want your wonderful hour to trickle off like that. So let's bring it to a close with so much left to continue to think about. But I think you've modeled for us beautifully how to have this conversation. You've left us with resources to follow up on. I feel so energized right now. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to go do right now. So I really thank you both so much. And for our participants who are still here in the chat, Keelan just put a link to recordings and also a link to a feedback survey. And we really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes just to let us know. Actually, it's more like letting 3CSN report to the powers that be on how this time is spent and what it means to practitioners. So thank you again so much. This is a perfect example of the kind of great work that
everyone
we want to highlight. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Murari and Jose.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nika.